Welcome to In the Know with Tony Reeves. I'm Tony Reeves. Let's get it popping. If you're thinking about sharing an office space with someone or a group of people, it's a great idea. It's a cost saver. And if you are looking to have a physical location, it can go a long way towards helping you establish a particular credibility amongst the customers you're looking to serve. However, getting into an office space sharing situation can be problematic if you don't have a clear understanding of what you're getting into from the very beginning. So a few things that you need to be aware of. First of all, find out exactly what you're responsible for. Lay it all out. Are you responsible for a portion of the rent? Are you responsible for a portion of the utilities? How about supplies for the building and so forth? Maybe if you're sharing a paralegal or a receptionist or something like that, are you responsible for their income, for their salary? Get all of that laid out in writing, because you don't want to be in a situation where you roll it and you get into that particular place, and the next thing you know, you get hit with bills that they're looking at you saying, we're thinking that this is what you're responsible for. Get all those things laid out. I know that's common sense, but you'd be surprised the number of people who walk into these situations and then find themselves with a stank face because they realize they didn't address that ahead of time. So that's the first thing. Second of all, find out what resources that are available to you. Meaning, it's easy to go and you're sharing office space and you're thinking, oh, right, I got full range of the resources in the building. Well, if you've got other people who are sharing those spaces, there may be certain things in those spaces that are literally just for them. So if there is a couple of people working the front desk, there may be one person that everybody shares, but then there's another person that's specifically for someone's office. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're thinking you have access to using that particular person, but you don't. Even resources in the back end. You may have a locker that has all these different supplies, but that supplies might be supplying one or two of the people who are sharing, but not everybody. So you want to know up front what resources that you are going to have access to. In addition to what resources, if you're sharing those resources, understand the parameters of the sharing arrangement. What do I mean by if you're sharing? What does it mean by the parameters? Well, for instance, if you're sharing a receptionist, well, if the receptionist primarily works for this one employer, they're going to probably take precedent if something comes up. So you need to understand, what are they going to do? And more importantly, what are they going to do for your company? So if the receptionist does a whole lot of things for this one particular employer in that office, but then they don't have time really to do yours except for just basically answer the phone, know ahead of time that that's all they're going to do is basically answer the phone, transfer the call back to you or your people. They may not do the things that you want them to do in terms of like screening and getting relevant information. They may be just like, catch and release. Catch the call, release it back to you, okay? Also, keep in mind what happens when you leave that relationship. You want to make sure you lay out what happens, what you're responsible for. You don't want to be in a situation where maybe something great pops up and you're in the middle of this office sharing arrangement and you dip. And then there's bills that you incurred while you were there that the remaining tenants are responsible for. Now, some of you may say, well, that ain't my problem. I said, yeah, but you don't want to establish that type of relationship. And then finally, keep this in the back of your mind. Make sure when you're in an office sharing arrangement that you do everything possible to separate yourself from the masses. Why do I say that? Because what happens is, let's say there's a marquee out front and the marquee says, Big Dog Law Firm. Let's just use that for instance. Well, if your name is not prominently underneath it, it says, Anthony Reeves, chocolate salesman. Then what happens is that people will come in there and they may not necessarily know that you are your own entity within that building. So what happens is that they say, oh, you work for Big Dog? Well, no, I don't work for Big Dog. I work for myself. So you want to make sure that any signage on the outside of the building, any signage on the inside of the building, and any cards, anything are prominently displayed so that whoever comes to you knows definitively that, check it, this is your gig and that you're your own person, and don't get caught up by the big picture. I'll tell you, office sharing arrangements are awesome. I took advantage of one right when I went out on my own. It was the best decision I made. I was in a great position because I was sharing with one other firm and they were very accommodating, but I learned a few little things along the way. They made it very easy for me. So me coming in and me coming out was not a problem, but I was blessed because not all people are in those situations. So just make sure you know that if you find yourself in a position where you believe you need to have a standalone place to work from, office sharings are great examples. Just be careful about how you get into them, and more importantly, be careful about how you get out of them. Hope you like it here. If you like it, Go down there, share it with a friend. Also, I have a talk radio show, a podcast, In the Know with Tony Reeves, blogtalkradio.com/In the Know. So check me out there. And as always, I always look for your feedback and your suggestions. If this helped, comment below. If it didn't help, tell me what I can do better. I can't improve unless you help me improve. Thanks a lot. This is Tony Reeves. I'm out.